Good morning. Please turn in your packet to page 21 and page 22. We're going to read an article called Antarctica. I want you to notice in the second half of that word that there is a C in front of the T. A lot of times when we're talking about this continent, we say Antarctica, but we really need to make sure that we pronounce the second C, Antarctica. Antarctica. So it has that word arc inside of it, ARC, which we need to make sure we pronounce whenever we say the word. Okay, where is Antarctica? Well, it is located at the bottom of the globe. So what this tells us is that it is at the South Pole because the top of the Earth is the North Pole. The bottom of the Earth is the South Pole. It's far away from the United States, which is located here on North America. And so we know that the poles are cold. So Antarctica is cold, and that's actually why it's always shown as a white continent because it's cold. All right, so let's get some visual images of Antarctica. Of course, we have ice, but you'll notice that there is water beside it. It is full of lakes. It's also full of bays and glaciers and things like that. So there's lots of moving water in Antarctica. Actually, underneath the ice in Antarctica is also a group of tunnels. They believe that this was probably formed because the ice froze, melted, refroze, etc., as water was running through it. So it actually formed ice tubes. And then, of course, whenever we see Antarctica, we always think of penguins. So things to keep in mind as you're reading. Antarctica doesn't belong to anyone and it has no government. So what problems could that cause? So you have this entire continent that's just completely isolated and desolate, and it doesn't belong to any government. It has nobody that rules over it. So what kind of problems could that cause? And then also the climate is always freezing in Antarctica. What problems could this cause for people wishing to travel there? So if a group of scientists decided that they wanted to go there and study, what kind of problems would the below freezing temperatures cause for them? All right, so turn to page 21. We'll go back to the visual screen and follow along on page 21 with the article as I read aloud. The continent of Antarctica is found at Earth's South Pole. Antarctica is large and covered with snow and ice. No native people live on Antarctica, and the continent has no government. Instead, Antarctica belongs to the entire world and is shared by all countries. Although Antarctica is covered with snow and ice, the land includes mountains and many lakes exist under the ice. Seals, whales, and penguins are among the animals that live in or in the water around Antarctica. It may surprise you to learn that Antarctica is considered a desert. Stop and think, does that make any sense? Is that what we consider a desert? Antarctica, a place covered in ice? Let's find out more about why that is. The land receives very little rain, and the definition of a desert is a hot or cold place that does not receive much rain. Most of the water in Antarctica is frozen. In 1959, the countries of the world agreed to share Antarctica. They signed the Antarctic Treaty. This treaty prevents any one country from claiming Antarctica and also protects Antarctica's environment. No country may drill for oil or mine for minerals or other materials. Instead, countries cooperate and allow scientists from all over the world to study Antarctica. People who visit or work in Antarctica are careful to preserve the environment. Until the Antarctic Treaty was signed, seals and whales in Antarctica were hunted until they almost became extinct. In addition, hunters and fishermen who visited Antarctica left trash and pollution. Many scientists who live and work in Antarctica stay in small base camps. These scientists are careful not to disturb the environment. Trash and waste are taken away or treated to minimize harm to the environment. Most of the people who visit Antarctica are tourists who arrive on cruise ships. These tourists want to see the beautiful scenery and animals unique to that continent. The passengers and staff aboard the tour ships are careful not to harm the land and animals while visiting. On your own piece of paper, please answer the questions on page 21 and on page 22. For questions number 5 and 6, remember to answer in complete sentences, and a minimum of 3 sentences will be required. If it asks for text evidence, please make sure you provide that.